I have a bunch of thoughts, spontaneous, but all based on my experience as a linguist and also recently experience as a Vice Rector for Research of Adam Mickiewicz University, and previous experience as being head of various institutions at the university. So two perspectives, right? As a linguist and as an administrator, let's say, right? But I will start with the very original motivation. I've always dreamt of writing a book about language for children. I haven't done it yet because of, you need to do the Scopus stuff, etc. So you don't write books for children, but I think it's worth doing. Right, so I don't know whether this is a task for SLE, right? But this is one of the directions that we have heard about, right? Especially from my colleague here. So this has always been my thought that already children don't know enough about this area, right? So as you pointed out as well, so it makes sense to reach to them. And another thing that has always been annoying me and still does is the strict division of sciences into natural sciences and humanities and social sciences, because it's just disturbing, right? We are interdisciplinary, all of us, right? So this is really disturbing. And linguistics has a good place here because linguistics is inherently interdisciplinary, right? So we can show with the linguistics that actually we are both. Right? We are in the humanities and we are in the sciences, and that's how we do research, right? So these are, so to say, guiding thoughts, right? So I've been approached very often by colleagues in sciences, like in physics or chemistry or biology, after having thought so many times, me telling them about we use EEG, fMRI, we experiment, and then for God's sake, what do you need an fMRI for? Why do you need to do magnetic resonance? I say, well, language is in the brain, isn't it, right? But they don't understand it, right? They don't see it. So it's our problem. Then they don't see it. This is my reaction. It's our problem. We are not communicating well. Right? So there's something that we should do about it. So things that we could do, and I'm sure many of us have been doing it, but as I said, I'm talking about my personal experience. So for instance, I've delivered quite a series of lectures on language diversity, on language endangerment, on language equality, right? So and various audiences, right? More popular audiences and less popular audiences, right? So to starting with the question how many languages there are and getting answers like 10 or 100 or whatever, and then finally telling them how many there are and where to look for it, right? And I think it makes sense because it always raises interest, right? So this is something very easy for us to do, right? Because all of us can do it, actually, right? Talking about SLE members, right? Without any funds, because we all have those audiences available in our countries. So in fact, I started with a TED talk, which I was very happy because this has quite a wide audience, right? So I was very happy to have been invited, right, to give a TED talk and be able to talk about language. Okay, so now as Vice Rector for Research, what we do at Adam Mickiewicz University, for instance, we have engaged a lot into so-called science communication, SciComm, but not just in a very general terms, but by cooperating with Imperial College, because Imperial College, to my knowledge, maybe it's not the only one, but certainly it's the one that has for 30 years already the special faculty for science communication. So they have the special unit there, right? And they just deal with this, right? So there are studies you can study up to an MA, right? Science communication. So linguistics could be part of it, right? So what we plan to do at our university is to have some program. Maybe we start with a postgraduate, right? With some one short 1 year program, and when we get people interested, maybe we can make it more solid, right? So here Imperial College is a good example, right? So this is just one. Then, as a university, we have a so-called Excellence Initiative Research University, where we have funds, right, which partly also go to telling people what we do, right? So, for instance, somebody who gets the project, right, is also asked to write a short popular description of the project and post it on the website, right? So on the university website. So that in, say, lay terms, right, we explain what we do, right? So, and this is done with the funds for research, right? But it's just part of it, right? And in general, such activities are all you could say encompassed by the so-called third mission. I don't know how seriously third mission is treated around the world, right? But it's apart from the first and second mission, right? Research and didactics, we have outreach mission, right? So maybe we should remind people, right, that this is something that probably everybody has resources for doing. Now, there is one very important activity at Anna Mickiewicz University, which is part of the worldwide activity, which is bilingualism matters, right? And this is an example for strictly linguistic outreach, right? Now it's, I don't know, Magda, how many we have BMs in the world. Around 30. It all started with Antonella Sorace in Edinburgh, right? And now it's all over the world. In Poznan, we started already 10 years ago, right? And all of us sitting here, myself and Magda and Anya, are involved, right? And what do? Well, we go to schools, we go to kindergartens, we educate teachers, right? So about what? Well, of course, acquisition, multilingualism, right? I mean, exactly what you have been referring to, that it's good to be bilingual. So we keep answering those questions. We have a website, right? So the whole communication about how it's good to be multilingual, right? Why it's good also for, elderly people, anybody, right? So we try to do that, and there's a lot of activity here. So this is BM at Poznan. And then I don't know whether you're aware of this initiative, but it's rather in the sciences. It's so-called FAME Lab, because I don't want to be preaching, right? But anyway, there is the international organization called FAME Lab. It's a competition to deliver your project in 3 minutes. So it's like small TED Talk, right? And it all started in England it was funded by British Council. British Council stopped funding, but people got interested enough, and it's very popular worldwide at the universities, but it's usually supported by some outside organization, right? And FAME Lab is exactly outreach, right? Because that's what you do. You just say in 3 minutes what you do, so that people understand, right? Or people who are not scientists, right? So one could engage in FAME Lab. Maybe one could do an SLE FAME Lab. Who knows, right? Then, of course, all the projects that go on, which some of them have been even presented at this conference, on endangered languages, for instance, right? They are easily transferred to being immediately interesting to the more general public, right? So this topic, right, of language endangerment is I think is one of the most obvious for us, right? Because, probably outreach via generative syntax is not going to be the easiest, right? Whereas acquisition, multilingualism, language endangerment, these are those topics. So my suggestion is that we could also use simply select some topics that we can start with, right? Telling people about who a linguist is. Yes, and it is difficult, I admit, right? Because all those years, I'm an Anglicist, and this year it's 40 years. Oh my God, it's 40 years, Magda? 40 years this year. And it's still, my colleagues would say, aha, you're in the Faculty of English, so you teach English. And I say, no, I'm a linguist. So what do you do? That's it, right? So we have this this misunderstanding, which of course we try to correct all the time, but that's probably our task, right? Okay, so I suppose that's it, right, as far as my reflections are concerned. Thank you.